Okay, so we're going to break down a truly wild and honestly a pretty wonderful moment from the internet. It all started as this very serious, high level cybersecurity chat on X Spaces, and it ended up somewhere, well, somewhere completely different. This is the story of how real expertise, incredible parody, and a one of a kind host created something absolutely unforgettable. Right here, this is where the conversation ended up. An absolutely bizarre, nonsensical, but kind of brilliant statement made in a space that started out talking about digital security. And the wildest part? This wasn't some random troll jumping in. Oh no, this was the grand finale of a masterful, completely improvised performance. So, yeah, that's the big question for this whole explainer. How does a space about things like zero-day exploits and server payloads get to a place where someone claims they can hack a heart through well, you read it. To figure that out, we have to look at three key pieces of the puzzle: the host, the big pivot in the conversation, and of course, the performers. Let's kick things off with a man right in the middle of it all, Alberto Daniel Hill. You have to understand, he's not just some guy hosting a chat. He is the architect of the environment where this kind of beautiful chaos can even happen. His style is the foundation for everything that comes next. First off, Alberto is an absolute powerhouse on X Spaces. I mean, look at these numbers. Since 2021, he's hosted almost 2,000 spaces. That puts him in like the top 30 most active hosts on the entire platform globally. This guy basically lives in these digital rooms, building communities around pretty heavy topics like cybersecurity and AI ethics. He's not just a user, he's practically a landmark. And this quote, this pretty much sums up his whole philosophy. He calls his spaces digital campfires. They're long, they're unscripted, completely unfiltered conversations that can go on for hours and hours. His one big rule is to listen to everybody without judgment. And this open door, anything goes policy means that literally anyone can pop in and steer the conversation in a totally new direction. He doesn't shut people down, he lets the chaos play out. Okay, so let's jump into the space itself and see how this all unfolded. The conversation started exactly how you'd think one of Alberto's cybersecurity talks would, super deep in the technical weeds. We're talking about really complex, expert-level stuff that would make most of our eyes just glaze over. And just look at the whiplash here. On one side, you have the beginning of the space, TLS handshakes, X509 certificates, Docker containers. Then the vibe completely flips. Suddenly, the topics are losing your house keys, cute pet stories, trauma from a dead cactus, and, my personal favorite, sexually transmitted investments, a very creative way to describe having kids. The pivot is just insane. So what on earth happened? Well, the what that happened was a who. Two community members, Cindy and Helen, joined the space. But see, they didn't come in claiming to be cybersecurity experts. They just came in as themselves. And understanding who they really are is the key to appreciating the incredible parody that was about to unfold. So let's take a look at Helen's actual online profile. She's a really well-known pro-Ukraine activist in the NAFO community. That's the North Atlantic Fellow Organization, an online group famous for fighting Russian disinformation with memes. Her whole thing is community building and fundraising. The same goes for Cindy, who's part of that same world. So bottom line, neither of them are pro-hackers. And that's the crucial point. Their arrival just changed the entire energy of the room. The super technical talk just kind of melted away, and the conversation shifted to personal stories, to jokes, to the kind of playful banter you have with good friends. They weren't there to debate TLS handshakes. They were just there to hang out. And that, my friends, is when the magic started. Okay, so Cindy and Helen, they sense this shift in the room, and they are totally encouraged by Alberto's Let It Ride hosting style. They didn't just participate in the conversation, they completely hijacked it. They launched into this brilliant, totally improvised parody of cybersecurity experts, and it was just a masterclass in comedy. The first thing they did was invent their own hacker group, the Pink Hats. Now, this is not a real thing. It was a term they made up right there in the moment to build this fictional identity for themselves as this elite, powerful, all-female group of, well, completely absurd cybersecurity gurus. And this is where it just goes completely, gloriously off the rails. Helen, fully in character as a pink hat expert, started explaining their, methods. This quote about weaponizing their own anatomy for hacking, it is the perfect example of the surreal and hilarious world they were building literally on the fly. Oh, and their technical advice, it was just as wonderfully terrible. When someone asked them for security tips, they recommended, with a straight face, that you should use one password for everything, make sure you write it down, and then, for safekeeping, tweet it out so you never forget it. It's literally the worst security advice imaginable, and they delivered it with the deadpan confidence of a seasoned professional. But here is the absolute key to all of this. Alberto, the host, didn't stop them. He didn't jump in and correct their awful advice. No, he leaned in. He started asking them these earnest follow-up questions, validating their ridiculous claims, and treating their pink hat community like it was a totally legitimate thing. He became a part of the performance, and that's what let it escalate to such hilarious new heights. So, why does any of this matter? Why does a bizarre 4-hour-long X space about nipple hex keys and dick drives, why is it worth talking about? Well, because this event, this beautiful train wreck, actually tells us something really profound about how we communicate online and what community really looks like in the digital age. So what can we actually learn from this amazing mess? Well, first, that online spaces are messy. You can't put them in a neat little box. Expertise and pure parity can live side by side and even make each other better. Second, it really shows the power of permissive hosting. By just letting go of the reins, Alberto created the space for something spontaneous and truly memorable to happen. But I think the most important thing here is about community. It shows that real connection isn't always built on serious, structured debate. A lot of the time, it's forged in these shared moments of joyful, ridiculous absurdity. And all of this leaves us with one final question to think about. In an internet that's so saturated with polished, perfectly curated, professional content, are we losing something? Maybe the most authentic human connections aren't found in a perfect Instagram feed, but in these messy, unscripted, and just gloriously chaotic moments. Maybe this is what community actually sounds like. What do you think?